Welcome back students in this video of MERN technology. So in the previous video we have discussed about some basics about React. Now in this video we'll discuss about React.js components. So component is considered as the core building blocks of a React application and components are reusable. For example, if I show you a sample component, so let me open the browser and let me show you a sample website. Let's say if I open Amazon. So Amazon is a very famous e-commerce website. Now you can see in the Amazon on the complete landing page or the complete home page. So you can see this card is used in all over the application. Now if you code this manually in HTML, then you have to code each card again and again. So in React we'll divide whole website in components. So according to the React, this card is a component which is reusable again and again. So in React, you will design this card once, and whenever you want to use that particular card, you don't have to code that again, but you just have to call that like a function. So components in React is just like a function which you can call as many as times as you want. So now let's discuss practically what is component and how to use components in React application. So let me open the VS Code, and this is the previous project we have discussed about. So as I said, the components are basically functions in React.js. So we'll write down a function. And let's say the name of the function is header. But there is one rule that the name of the component must be a uppercase letter. So we'll write down header. Okay. So now let's put this. Now as it's a function, so we have to return. Let me return a h1 tag. So let's put some h1. Let me put a h1 tag, and let's write down. This is my heading. Now it's very simple. So this is a component. So this is, we have created a component right now. Now to use that component into the JSX, we'll just have to write a tag for that component. So we'll write down header. So this is a component. So in JSX, when you create a function, you have to call it like a tag inside the React element. So we'll write down header. Now let's see the output. So if you can see, this is the output. Now, as I said, the components are reusable. So if you want to use that header file multiple times, so we'll just call that header as many times as we want. So we'll write down header once again, and let me just write down header once again. So I have called this header method 4 times. Now let's see the output. So here, now you can see that particular header component will be executed 4 times, or we can say rendered 4 times on the document. Now let's put some styling inside this h1 tag. So we'll style this. Now let's add a color. Let's add a color blue. Now let's check the output. So here you can see, by this style attribute we can add the styling inside the component. Now let us put this inside a div, and let's style this div. Let's save this and add a styling inside this div. And now let's put down. Now let's style this by text line. Now let's check the output. So now you can see the header files are in the center of that particular component. So let me just remove this extra header files. We just demonstrate so how you can render components multiple times. So this is how you can start styling your React app using the JSX tags. So this is an example of a basic components which is written inside the index.js file. Also, we can write components outside of that particular JS file. Let me show you an example. And let me, inside the src folder, create a file which is named as sample component.js. So let me put a JS file. Now again we have to import the React. Now again we have to create a function. Now let's say function name is outside component. Outside, let's say just outside. Also the first name is, the alphabet must be uppercase, the braces, and this is the component. Now let's say return a div, and we'll write down h1 tag, and we'll write down this is our external component. Now let's save this. But now, as the component is not inside the index.js file, so we have to export this component from this file. So we'll write down export default outside. Now, inside that index.js file, we'll write down import outside from. Now, as the outside folder is in the same directory, we'll write down dot slash. So dot will represent the same directory, and the name of that particular file is outside.js. So we'll have outside. Okay, the file name is sample component. So let me check the sample component. So here we have the sample component .js. Now same method again header, and then we have the outside, which is our outside component. Let's save this and let's call this twice. Now let's see the output. So here you can see the outside component is rendered inside the index.js file. So this is all about components and how to code the components inside the file and outside the file. Now in the next video we'll discuss about properties and state of the component. So thank you for watching this video.